Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US Indices report, and we'll look at the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, and probably the DAX as well, just to sort of fit in some patterns here, and we'll be looking at a few different patterns. On the daily chart here for the S&P 500, we've been looking at this as wave 3, an A and a B and a C for wave 4, and we've been looking for 5 waves up here. Now, I just really want to talk about these 5 waves here. There is a possibility that this can be the case here, where we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. Now, as I've mentioned before, wave 3 here is actually shorter than wave 1, so that breaks the Elliott rule. It doesn't break the whole Elliott structure though. Now, it can be like this if wave 5 here is going to be smaller than wave 3 here. So that's one thing that we need to look for here. So we need a smaller wave 5, smaller than wave 3 here. The other count for this that we need to bring into place too, which we've always had, is this being wave 1 here and wave 2 here. And then this pushes all this much further up here as such here. And then we put in wave 3 here. And we've had this count before, of course, wave 4 and wave 5 up here for wave 3 and wave 4 and wave 5. So this is something I don't know, but it's just something that we just need to sort of play around with and just to be aware of, that's all. That's the main thing. But the structure up here is certainly not completed. That's the main point at this stage. So we need to put all the counts on the table and we need to sort of, look at them as such. Now, before we move into the intraday, and we've got a couple of counts on the intraday as well. Now, we haven't missed anything. We've been long in these moves to the upside, which is good. But at the same time, I understand that these moves up too can be part of a corrective pattern. They can be part of this corrective pattern moving down. It's not true in all cases, though. In some cases, like the NASDAQ, it's higher through here, and we've been using that as a template as well in terms of the other markets, and considering that the NASDAQ is basically leading and the other markets will catch up. There's also some points too that on the Dow Jones, and we can look at that too, and the S&P 500. So at this particular price here is 21.77. That was a gap on the cash market as well. So that gap has been covered. It's been covered on the Dow Jones as well. So, with corrections and with market moves, they like to move up and in some instances cover a gap and then, fade from that point. So we just need to be a little bit aware of a few things. It appears that, like the DAX, for instance, got much the same sort of pattern here as we're looking at here in terms of the correction here, and it's expected to move higher. So there's nothing stopping these markets to move higher. So we just need to be aware of different counts. So this is what we're going to do here at the moment. So one of the counts that we've had here, in considering this wave 3 here and wave 4 over here, also to be mindful that this could be wave 1 here and wave 2 over here, or even wave 2 down to here as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave here. It's just normally that the C wave would be more of an angle than the wave A here, so it's sort of a reverse thing here. So this move up here is past the 61.8% mark here, which would be around here somewhere. And it's filled that gap on the cash market at this price here. So it could fade from here. If it does fade from here, we just need to be aware that we'd be looking at 5 waves down here and then a move up through to here. So we need to know at what point this could occur and so on and so on. And also to the possibility of this actually moving higher as well, and considering this wave 1 here and wave 2 here like we have on the DAX, on the NASDAQ, and so wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, so up for 3, coming back for 4 and up for 5, and then a larger wave 4 here and then up for 5 here. So we just need to be aware of this sort of junction here and how to sort of work with that. So, and we can kind of get different ideas from different markets as well. So in this I know I've got this as 77 and 76 on the last one. I wasn't quite sure. I just sort of eyeballed it on the cash. So, but certainly covered. Yeah, so this is a real sort of possibility here. This is sort of moving from here. So in accordance with the trading levels, if with the trading levels here from 2100, which is a minor trading level, and then number 2 here, the 200, also a minor trading level as well, and these are all sub-levels in here, and we have subgroup 1 here, which is 10, 20 and 30, then the midpoint 50, and then group 2, which is the 65, 72 and the 80. So normally we find if the group 2 here becomes the retested resistance, well then it's in a bearish point at that stage, and we would need to consider it moving lower from that point. Normally we would use the pivot within group 2 here, which is actually 2172. But in this case here, I think we need to be a little bit mindful because this is the previous low here. But certainly if the 65 here becomes the retested resistance, well, even the 72, the 65, and also the 60 in this case, if the 60 becomes the retested resistance, then you can be reasonably assured that the market will be pulled down to the midpoint number 5 here, and then, obviously there'll be bounce off that and then moving lower from that point. So, it's just sort of working out at what point it would sort of crack to the downside. So I think that the 60, well, certainly, let's just go in and have a closer look at this here on the, 2-hour chart. So 15-minute chart here. So from here, this is a positive count to the upside on the 15-minute chart here. So it's still continuing to the upside on this particular one, which is sort of interesting because we can work with this a little bit. So first of all, we've been long, so it's not going to hurt to take some profit here. This does appear to be corrective, so it does appear that it's going to move higher here. If I take this as wave 1 and wave 2 here, and then I take this as wave 1 and 2 in here, I'm not sure about that actually, that spiking there. But as a 1 and 2, it's kind of sharp, and then 3 and 4 here is sideways and complicated, and then sort of number 3 up here. So if this was going to pull back, the other point that I wanted to mention here too is just a subtle point. There is a gap on the cash market at I think it's 2165 or 2163. So maybe just double check on that. So we're either going to cover it on this pullback or this pullback here. Okay, so just be mindful of that. So from wave 2 here, if I consider this all of wave 3 up here, then the 38.2 retracement level is 2164. So it's going to come quite close to covering that gap there. So it's possible, okay? But if the 2165 becomes the retested resistance, then we need to be, considering to be short at that stage here. So, yeah, a little bit of a rock and a hard place. We've got to this particular point, and we just need to be a little bit mindful of this. Now, when we look at the, for this to fail here is quite sort of interesting, really, because if we look at the tech stocks, the NASDAQ here, this has got a completely different picture here. So in this case here, we've called this wave 4, not that it matters too much, but wave 1 and wave 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave, the fourth wave, and we're looking for the fifth wave to move up. So, when we consider that wave 3 would be the biggest, it's kind of the biggest because it's got the best structure in it, even though it might not be sort of, in terms of distance, extending as a powerful third wave, but it's certainly got some bulk to it. So if that's the case, then wave 1 and wave 5 would have some sort of relationship here. So I'm not quite sure if this is actually going to finish at the 4.9 here. I would assume that it will get sucked up to 5,000. Very rarely would a market fail at this point once support has been gained on the closest even number here, the 48, which is another minor level here, but an important one we call a profit taking number, and that's the case. And when it becomes support, it should just be pulled up to the next number. So in here, I'm not sure if we can call this wave. I think this would be the A, the B, and the C to here. That being the case, that would be 1 and 2 here. and all the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. So I think it's still got further to go, but in one way or another, it's going to play out at the 9 here, at the 4-9 here. So just depends on how you count it. Now, I've been very conservative here in my count. What I've done here is, I think that wave 4 is better suited over here to these lows here, and having this up as wave 1 and 2 here, but I don't know, that's the thing. And I'm unsure about the spike in here, as I've mentioned, but even if I take the most conservative view to the outside and call this an A and a B and a C, which may not be wrong either, then 1 and 2 here and 3 here and 4 here and 5 here. So there's still a bit more sort of upside to play out here. Anyway, I'll do some more work on that later, but yeah, we certainly got this section right here. Just have a quick look on so the Nasdaq is completely different than the S&P 500 as such. The Dow Jones, this is the Dow Jones on the daily chart. Sorry, don't have a little thing here. There it is. So basically the A, the B, and the C for wave 4, the 1 and 2, and I will still consider this wave 1 here and wave 2 here, but we have to be flexible. But once again, too, I know that once a market has found support, between 10,000 and 20,000 here, the 15 is the halfway mark. So the market is above that. So normally it'll just be pulled up to this. And I know that by, it might be a large number, but to me, this could be 20 cents. It could be $2 or $20 or $200. It's still number 2 when we're using Fibonacci as a price ratio. So it should be pulled up to this. So I'm quite sort of okay with that, but anyway, one step at a time, one level at a time. And also here too, this was the resistance here, the high here, and now this market has migrated all the way. It's got the breakout above now, and it's got the retest. So it's retesting support here. So it's actually, walking up the stairs basically, is building to the upside here. We just need to see if it's going to continue sort of that build as such here. So not sure what I've got here. Right, so I've got it as 1 and 2 here, but also wave 4 here as well. In this case here, we still need to be mindful that this can do the same thing as the S&P 500 and come down to this point and then move up. But at the same time too, we need to be working this. Obviously there's a lot of support resistance here rather, and it hasn't really moved up and chipped away at that, but it could do. But if you're going to take profit, then this would be the way to go at this point, because even if it had to get up above this supply area here, it would move up to here, it would react here, it would move up through it here, run out of breath, have some type of corrective pattern here, and then have another crack at it. So it's a long process to get into this supply zone here in this particular case here. But I've got this sort of with the Nasdaq here, so we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 in here, and 1 and 2. So we can see it's still building here. But obviously in this case here, if it sinks below this level here, the 18,300 here, and it can come back and test it, but because it's the previous, resistance, and but if it becomes the retested resistance under here, and you know how that works, the breakthrough, the retest, failing the retest, and then moving through here, then you'll need to be on the short side at that point there. We'll have a quick look at the Russell as well while we're here. Find the Russell. I'm just looking at this on the 2-hour chart as well, but also this is quite positive. Well, we know that the Russell is really quite strong, and has sort of not led to the upside, but has been quite sort of dominant in being quite strong. So this is the previous high here, and I just need to talk about that a little bit. Now this move down through here on the cash market, this is the actual low here by a fair bit. So it's quite comfortable to label it an A wave and a B wave and a C wave in this case. So we're labeling this one completely different than the other ones. And then looking at this as wave 1 here and wave 2 here. and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we're sort of on the right track here with this one, and our target for this is the 1300 up here. Obviously the market's going to struggle at these old highs here, so we're entering group 2 here, which will be 65, 72 and 80. So it's likely to react there, come back and test the 1250 area here, and then work higher from that point. So it may not pull all that way back there, but it depends on how deep it goes in here. If it just touches the 65 and reacts from that point, then you can expect it to go down. If it works sort of higher through here, reacts a little bit here, and then pushes up here and reacts up here, well, then it's not going to come back down through here. Yes, it can come back down and test its previous low here or such, but move up from that point there. But still, it's going to spend it's going to spend time here in this space, in this corrective in group 2 here. So it'll be like, I mean, normally wave 3 would sit on top here like that, on top of the next level here, and this wave 4. But either way, whatever happens here, you can expect the market to be in this space for a little while before moving higher here. Okay, so accommodate that, leave the stops out of the way, and so on. Now I'm going to have a look at the DAX, because it's got an interesting case here. In this case here, it's had this beautiful A wave, B wave and C wave here. So we know that this is a corrective pattern here. So we know that this top is going to be taken out here. So really it's got the same sort of pattern as the US markets, generally speaking. And it's certainly pushing higher and doing all the right things here. So yeah, still got further to go. It's going to obviously struggle at these highs up here. So that's what we need to basically have a look at here. But it's just sort of nice to know that the European markets are, well, a 2-hour chart, making a bit of an effort to the upside. So I'm counting it as wave 1 here and wave 2 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up to the 10.8 here. It may not make to the 10.8 here, so just be a little bit careful of that, because we do have long trades in this market, and also too just moving the 10.53. Well, we don't need that anymore. That's been done and dusted. So yes, look, there's probably another long position in here that we talked about, but main point here is that we can move the stock quite safely to this point here. Just keep it at 10,546. Okay, I know that's just the right number. So yeah, if that's breached, then this structure is a failure. But while that's in play, then we should see this market push higher. So there's no problems with this market pushing higher. So the S&P 500 should move higher as well with all of these. So this does appear to be corrective here. It could certainly move down to this sort of area here before moving up into here, and then having a correction here back into this sort of space, and then creating the first high above the level. So our longer term target for this is 11,000. But we still need to get through a fair bit. Now, the 10,800, the 8 is much stronger than 7 or 6 in this. And the minor levels are 5 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8. Fibonacci numbers. We also know too the halfway mark between 5 and 8 here is the 650 area here. So this is, even though it doesn't look important now, it will be the most important number out of all of these. 600 and 700 will be important. One might be dominating than the other, and they'll be useful. But if there's going to be a larger correction here, then this number is going to be the balance line in that. But looking at this here, even from here, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So yeah, that's in play there now. So we could look at this in terms of here, just coming back into this space. That's about it there. So it can pull back to that area there before moving higher. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need that one, and also too, wave 4s can get a bit complicated as well here, but yeah, that's a pretty good guess. So that's about it there. So I don't even need that. If I don't need it, don't keep it. Okay, right. Okay, well, look, that's it really. So thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend. Cheers.